people forget about that game in what was that, week 3? Was that we did control that game. We had a weird 5 minutes there in the fourth quarter, a couple questionable calls to extend, a drive or two for the 49ers. But if we go in with a similar game plan with all of our players back that we didn't have, you know what I mean? I liked the way that we managed their receivers, their running backs, their quarterbacks, right? I do you think the game plan has to change much?
No, not the game plan. I think the execution has to be better than it's been from a defensive perspective. Mm-hmm. We saw what the Lions did with these kind of misdirection and trick plays last week or 2 weeks ago. This defense just has to stay home, stay disciplined, stick to your assignment, because if not, this 49ers team is a way better offense at those types of misdirection, and using receivers in the backfield and jet motions and sweeps and stuff like that. So if we can't execute, then yeah, it's going to be a really tough day. But I think the game plan remains very similar.
Yep. In that game, Brandon Ayuk, for example, I think only had, I just pulled it up, had 37 yards, right? So like you said, they have their key guys that we need to be very mindful of. Samuel, obviously, that you just mentioned. That Ayuk is that explosive player that we had under control last time around. That I feel like he can be that game changer for them, right? I mean, Kittle and Samuel and their run game, I think, is what everyone's going to be looking at. But I mean, does Ayuk scare you? The younger, wide receiver. He was a wide receiver. I know I wanted the Packers to draft if he somehow got to us. He didn't, but is kind of like that second, third string type player a concern for you?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly probably the third guy you need to be aware of out there from their offense. I mean, he was their leading receiver last week against the Cowboys. He's a guy that you've got to account for. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say he scares me, but I think you just have to really respect this defense and again play within the plan. Stick to your assignment, stay disciplined, because as soon as we have a snap in the backfield and our defense over pursues, that's when they have a reverse to a wide receiver, or that's when they just have a screen, a running back split out the other way, and we get caught with our three guys just over pursuing the initial ball carrier. So
what does scare you then, right? Like, I mean, what offensively, let's stay on their offense. Like, what concerns you about the 49ers? Garoppolo is your average. Go ahead.
That concerns me. They don't need great quarterback play. That concerns me because they can win without it. You know what I mean? If we were just saying, hey, who's going to win head to head, Jimmy Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers? I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers all day. But the fact that they don't need to do that to be successful is a concern. And that's a tough matchup for our defense because that's the type. Our running defense hasn't been great these last 6 weeks, and they're a team that can exploit that.
Yeah, I'm looking up the game against the Cowboys last week. You weren't kidding. That gadget player for Deebo Samuel, it's 72 yards rushing, with Eli Mitchell getting another 96. I mean, they pounded the ball against the Cowboys. I was out of town, so I mostly watched highlights in that game, and of course saw the ending, which is ridiculous. We can talk about that later if you want. I didn't realize how much of a gadget player he was. He had more rushing yards than receiving, and I anticipated that to be flipped.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an example of a creative head coach just getting their best player the football. Regardless of how, running, throwing, whatever it is, they're going to get him the ball. So again, it just kind of comes back to the defense playing sound football, fundamental football, just sticking to your dang assignment, and I mean that's all I can really say.
Is that then what scares us the most? Just their coaching ability and maybe their familiarity with our coaching, right? I mean, they both came from the same tree, over in Washington. We've seen that a lot in the news lately. Both the Packers, 49ers, and Rams head coaches were all on the on the Washington football team's club 10 years ago. Is there something to that where maybe they just know us because of our play style and our playbook?
Yeah, I mean, well, if they know us, we know them, right? I mean, they're a familiar opponent at this point, even though they're in a different division. So, but I mean, yeah, I think they have an advantage, maybe slightly advantage in coaching.
You take that back.
I know. Well, we'll see. I want Matt LaFleur to prove me wrong tomorrow. Because I think, I think it's going to come down to that, like messaging to the players, make sure we can execute. So. But yeah, I mean, let's move on from that. Let's talk a little bit about keys to success. I mean, I've kind of said it ad nauseum this episode, but you got to stay disciplined on defense. What would you say? What would be your key to success for defense?
For our defense, you said?
Yeah.
Man,
go on.
Not have it be a close game. Right? I mean, I feel like last week and 2 weeks before, I mean, the Rams had the 49ers beat. But something turns on in Jimmy Garoppolo when it's a tight game with 2 minutes left, right? Like I said, with 1 minute left, they'd march 90 yards down the field to win the game. So just like we said, I mean, it sounds so simple and so basic, but let's not get fooled by that trick play. Let's not let the going into halftime, like last year in the NFC Championship game, giving up a big touchdown instead of 3 points. Let's not let those weird things happen. And unfortunately for us, weird things happen typically on special teams, and that's been a concern for ours all year. We don't have to dive into that yet right now, but just keep the running game in front of us. And with some of these key guys coming back on the edge rushers and potentially Jair coming back, I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo beating us. Okay. I don't. So,
what about our offense? What is the key to the game?
Nick Bosa. He's currently on the injury report with a concussion. I gotta imagine he'll play. If we keep Aaron Rodgers upright, and we give him a little bit of time, back to the key to the offensive line being so important. Again, on paper, we don't lose this game, right? We got all the offensive weapons we need. We got Devontae, we got Cobb. We got Aaron Jones in the first half, and then we have A.J. Dillon in that cold, -5 degrees, late in the second half, just pounding the rock with a touchdown, 2-touchdown lead. It's all about making sure that Nick Bosa doesn't get to Aaron Rodgers, right? So I'm going to say key to success offensively is that offensive line, that left tackle spot, David Bakhtiari. Hopefully he's ready to go and set. How about you? Do you change, or do you think anything's more important on either side of the ball?
Offensively, I think get off to a fast start. I liked what we did against the Lions in that first drive. Obviously, the offense went up big quickly. I think if we can get into a rhythm early, maybe exploit that secondary a little bit. They don't have great cornerbacks or safeties. Then I think it bodes well for the Packers, because if the Niners are playing, if we're up by 2 scores most of the game, based off a fast start, I really like that. I like our chances. I don't want it to get to a point where the Niners, it's a tight game and the Niners control the clock the entire time. Let's get going. Get the ball out of your hand, Aaron Rodgers. Get off to a fast start here, and let's put this game away.
And by fast start, I think you mean, and what I mean by that, if I'm saying it, is let's get several first downs, right? We don't need a knockout punch on the first or second play, because that seems to put us behind the chains right away.
No,
let's just get some solid gains, 4 or 5, 6 yards, first down, and let's work with second and short every time. So we have 2 shots at making a reasonable, reasonable first down.
Yeah, and what I mean specifically by getting off to a fast start is a sustained drive, getting into a rhythm, getting those first downs, and then ending the drive in 7 points.
Yep. with maybe 7 minutes left, 5 minutes left on the clock of the first quarter. Now I'm getting greedy, but yeah, 100%. That's something that we've struggled with so far this year. We've been getting off the slower starts and then picking it up early in the second half. But I think you're right that is key. I think one of the key things to having success too in Lambeau is having the home crowd in it. Did you see recently that Matt LaFleur asked or pleaded, I suppose, Packer fans not to sell their tickets to 49er fans?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that usually would go without saying, but I actually have my parents have season tickets, and I have a friend who's a Niners fan, and when she asked me if he'd be interested in the tickets, I said, well, it'd be ideal if you could find a Packers fan to take the tickets, but then as a secondary option, I guess, but. Yeah, I mean that should kind of go without saying because you don't want to give away the home field advantage.
I think it's great. I think it's great what LaFleur always does. They always show him on the sideline pumping up the crowd on third down, quieting people down when Aaron's got the ball on third down. I just think it's great how in tune both Aaron and LaFleur are on what's going on. Earlier before the season, I think he asked the crowd not to do the wave while we're on offense. So. I think, and I think a few references to get nice and boozed up. 3 beers is kind of that sweet spot. I think he said, not too many, not too few, just to get it nice and rowdy for the boys to play. But
nice for me, it's more like 4 or 5. But
yeah, true.
All right,
true,
let's
true,
talk about our predictions here. Can you give us the rundown, the over/under, and the point spread?
Yeah, so the Packers are favored to win. They are the number 1 seed, and they're playing the number 7 seed, and we're at home, so that's no surprise there. It started
6 seed,
out
I
as
think, right?
6 seed. I think you're right. 6 seed. So no.
Are they?
Anyway.
Were they the 7 seed? I thought the Eagles were the 7 seed.
The Eagles are the 7 seed.
Okay,
you're right. My bad. You're right. It opened up as a 4.5 point favorite. It moved a little bit to a 5.5. So Packers are, and that's a pretty big spread, I'd say, for a playoff game.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, that's pretty heavily. I mean, usually you give 3 points to the home team. So I mean, is it in a neutral site 2.5 points, I suppose. And the over under is 47. My prediction for this game is a lot like last year's divisional round. We were playing the Rams. We felt pretty good to it going in. This year, we were a little scared, I think, just because of the history and the name. If you put another name on the helmet besides the 49ers and a couple other, exceptions that we feel like we had some bad luck against, forget about the 49ers. I truly believe we're a better team. I think Aaron Rodgers has the chip on the shoulder that everyone has always talked about. I think the Packers in general have chips on their shoulders. I mean, almost all of these guys last year lost at home in the NFC Championship game. I think they take this last dance seriously. Whether it is or not is something to be said. But even if Aaron Rodgers comes back, a lot of these guys won't be. I think all these guys have that underdog mentality, even though they're clearly not. I think we stomp these guys out a little bit. Now, I'm not thinking it's going to be a 4-touchdown game, but I think it's going to be a comfortable 2-touchdown game. I have the Packers winning 35-17. Let's go!
Oh man, I hope you're right. I've got the Packers winning too for 2 reasons. One, this is a Packers podcast, and it's the playoffs. And
Packers podcast.
Regardless of my feelings about the matchup, I got to go with the Packers. I also think they're going to win. Anyway. I think it's going to be closer than that. I've got the Packers winning in a walk-off touchdown.
Oh, gross. Don't.
I know.
Don't. I can't. I can't do that. I will die. I will die.
I've got the Packers winning in a walk-off touchdown, okay?
Okay.
30-26.
And what? Okay, name the player. Name. Is it? It's got to be a pass play, right? It's just a walk-off. Is it in regulation or is it OT?
No, it's in regulation.
Okay.
30-26, and you know what? Let's give Josiah DeGuara an opportunity to
Josiah DeGuara
begin his legacy.
You know he's throwing it to Devontae in that scenario. You know he is.
Well,
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. We both picked relatively high scores, and it's not going to be a nice day. I mean, it's going to be fine in terms of wind, it looks like, but I mean, a high of like 17 in Green Bay, and we're playing at 7:15. I mean, are we getting a little greedy on points, do you think?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the Packers put up 30 plus against the Vikings, and when it was like 5 degrees out. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.